Who is in the Wyatt Six? We're in speculation station on this video. Bray Wyatt returning at WWE Extreme Rules this past Saturday with that monster reaction, the way that he was brought back as well. That whole spectacle was absolutely superb. Literally, you could say Bray Wyatt has the whole world in his hands. He has been the talk of the wrestling world, not just for the return, but who killed the world, who is going to be that first target, and of course the puppets brought to life in the arena at Extreme Rules has led many to believe that the Wyatt Six is not just something we see on a Twitter handle. It is going to become a reality in WWE, a faction of Bray Wyatt plus 5 other superstars. And of course, those superstars, that is what the video is going to be about. The speculation. We're talking about some superstars who have been reported who could be in there. We're going to be talking about some that have been fan speculation that we've seen a lot on Twitter, Instagram, or perhaps on YouTube alike. And I've thrown in a couple of names of my own. I'm not going to lie, because I like to get creative with this. I like to get involved. But before we start with things, we've got a comment already come flying in from Mr. Tom Colliehue himself. He says, Steve, who are each and every member of the Wyatt Six? Also, where are the Wyatt Six? And most importantly, when are the Wyatt Six? Now, I must admit, Tom, you're the journalist of the two of us. I expect you to know all the answers of that at this point. But I've seen spoiler warning. And of course, at this stage, we don't have all the answers. But hopefully, if there is a Wyatt Six, we saw that there with the end of Extreme Rules. If those puppets are going to come to life, hopefully we'll start getting some gradual teasers as the next coming weeks come along. And I hope to think we're going to get something as we're going towards Crown Jewel. But literally, for me, this video is going to be where I'm going to speculate. I want everyone that's watching this live to get involved in the chat of who you would have as a part of the Wyatt Six faction. So we have Bray Wyatt. Who else will be joining? I will be starting off by talking about this wrestler who I think has been speculated quite heavily, especially since Brian Alvarez from the Wrestling Observer newsletter has reported he is re-signing with WWE. Of course, I'm talking about Bo Dallas, who is someone I think will be a great fit for the Wyatt Six. No better than family, right? I mean, Bo Dallas, for me, he's been someone that's had a jobber gimmick the whole time he's been in WWE in his previous run. He's not signed, to my knowledge, 100% with the company like Brian Alvarez is reporting, to come back in a more important role. Someone that's no longer going to be a social outcast. Someone that's not going to be involved in the B team. It would quite literally be the A team of this Wyatt Six. And of course, you wouldn't be Bo leaving anymore. Perhaps we could get Bo Wyatt. I'd be excited of the prospect. Like I say, he's been very passionate and dedicated to the roles he's been given. He's been given 100% previously. But what I would say is he's never been in a serious role, and I'd like to see him have that opportunity. Wyatt family back in the day. I think it would have been very suitable to have had him a part of that. But it wasn't to be how it was done before. But of course, now Bray Wyatt is back. It is family after all. It's someone that I think will be a great fit for this group. But of course, but Bo Wyatt, if it was to be the case, Bo Dallas, could it be like the understudy, like the sort of we saw that sort of themed in the crowd? Is it like the White Rabbit? Of course, we've got the Huskers there as well. Mercy, Abigail, which we'll be talking about in depth as well. In there, I like the idea of almost like a mini fiend, just as a little bit for me with that speculative at this point. But so before I go until the next person, I'm going to say hello to KX Ice, is what's going on, Steve, and also Tino's time as well. Tino knows how late it is that I'm doing this stream, so hopefully I'm going to be making a lot of sense to everybody that is watching. If you are enjoying this video so far, then please do consider hitting that like button as we go towards our second option. And I mentioned about family. Braun Strowman, of course, was a part of the Wyatt family back in 2015 when he debuted. My feeling with Braun Strowman is, as great as this would be, we've seen a lot of these fan teases online. The idea of Wyatt, Braun Strowman, a couple of other names I'm going to mention shortly. Braun Strowman is a main event style talent. He's someone that could be towards the top end of the card. And to have two of them in one faction is great, but it's, we've had the two-man power trip before. But I kind of feel that who is the top dog in the group? Would it cause dissension further down the line? Is it right to have two main eventers in that spot when Bray is the leader of the group? For me, I'm not so sure that that is the right move to do, but at the same time, strength in numbers, and if you want to have the monster of monsters, Braun Strowman is your guy. I think he would be a great fit for the group, obviously for that reasoning, and like I said, he's been there before. But for me personally, I would keep Braun as a separate single star in WWE. That's just what I personally would do. Speaking of family, what if Eric Rowan, or aka Eric Redbeard, was brought back. And you see the shirt pattern I've gone for there. We saw that Mercy was actually, there was sort of that sort of flashy shirt on. A lot of people were speculating maybe it could be Grayson Waller at the time. I've not done a graphic for Waller. I just think it just doesn't fit. That's my humble opinion. I like Waller as he is in NXT, the sort of next generations of your Miz's, your LA Knights. So, you know, that obnoxious talker. Well, LA Knight's not an obnoxious talker, but he can be if he wants to be. The Miz certainly is. I think he's that next level of that superstar. Would not fit this group, in my opinion. But Eric Rowan, we've been there before. It's a rewind, yes, but do you know what? We're seeing so many returns to WWE. If Bo Dallas comes back in, why not Eric Rowan? I just think he's got the look that fits this group perfectly. It was always a great fit for the Wyatt family before. The guy can go in the ring as well. He's had some great matches before as part of the Wyatt family, even his time as a tag team with Daniel Bryan as well back in the day. So I think Rowan could be an interesting proposition should he be brought back in. I'm not 100% confident he will be brought back in. This is more, I think, my speculation. I've not seen so much fan speculation on this one, but it's something that I would quite like to see. I think, you know, like I say, I've seen him do a couple of appearances in AEW, but elsewhere, I don't think he's done much of note. And I think that with WWE in the right role in this group, you know, he's big, he's scary looking, and you want that. You want a big scary dude to be on the side of Bray Wyatt. Before I go through any more names here, we're going to see what some people got saying going in the chat. We've got KXI saying, I feel like it will be Bo Dallas, Liv Morgan, and Joe Gacy are the ones I think will definitely join. Well, you may be happy with a couple more names that will be coming later in this stream. Stuart Ridley sharing his opinion as well with Bo Dallas, Nikki Cross, Mustafa Ali, someone that will be very interesting as well to be a part of this. I look forward to discussing that later on. Dodgekovich and Gacy are the 5 under the mask for me. I think that's a great looking stable, if I'm being brutally honest. I like the idea of the mouthpiece of Gacy. I like the former Retribution members as well with Dodgekovich and Mustafa Ali. Nikki Cross is desperate for that character change, so I like that shout as well. And Bo Dallas, like we say there. And we mentioned Liv Morgan, by the way, in that last one there. I think, obviously, I'm looking forward. Liv Morgan will be someone I'll be discussing very soon on this video. I think it's going to be an interesting topic with a character change coming out of Extreme Rules. KXI goes on to say, I feel like guys like Cross and Braun shouldn't be in the faction because one of that faction would be a way to OP, and 2, taking away your mid-card scene. I mean, to be fair, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you have too many of these top guys in one group. Yeah, it's a power stable, but at the same time, it does kind of overpower one another. And like you say, it can really destroy everybody else. But hey, maybe you want the dominant ultimate faction. Who knows? Eric Rowan being a good shout. Thank you very much. And I would also prefer him in the faction to Braun. That's just my personal opinion. As well, Tino's time here got his opinion sent. I was thinking about this. Do you think they'll bring up Joe Gacy, a part of the White Six, and they bring back the grizzled young veterans? Well, let's jump ahead in my video, shall we? Because I'm glad that you've mentioned him because, I have got Joe Gacy as part of this. So as I've made the graphic, I will bring it up. So here is Joe Gacy for you there. Of course, Gacy was a part of the clues there, wasn't he, for the White Six, of course, we saw on the road to Extreme Rules. He'd also shown himself to be in Philadelphia as well. Was he under one of the masks? Who's to say? Maybe it was just one of the NXT superstars watching the show. We know Braun Breaker and Nikita Lyons were put on camera. We didn't know about Joe Gacy, but maybe I think he'd be a good fit. Would he have the full faction with, was it Schism? I believe they're called. The Grizzled Young Veterans. We'd have to wait and see if they would be part of it or not. In my personal opinion of this trio, Gacy fits. And the reason Gacy fits is because of the fact that I think he's really creepy. Is pretty much the reason why. And when he talks, you know, the dude is just a little bit scary. He's a little bit out there. And I just think when you think like a Firefly Funhouse, if they're going to bring all that back or whatever reincarnation we've got of Bray, Gacy's voice of doing a promo just fits and just works. For me, we mentioned the Grizzled Young Vets there a minute ago with the Schism. I personally would leave them behind. I personally, you know, anyone that watches this channel a lot knows my opinion. Keep the Grizzled Young Veterans as the Grizzled Young Veterans. I want them to go back to how they were. They were just fine as the tag team they were before. I think they could add depth to any tag team division in WWE. I'm just not a fan of the, Jagger Reed and Rip Fowler. It's just not worked for me. And let's go to, I've pulled them up again there. There you go. That's your last shout of them. But yeah, I'm not having out at this point. But here's one that I think would be quite interesting because it's not 1, it's not 2, it's not even 3 members. I'm talking 4 members here. I'm talking Judgment Day. What if Judgment Day were four members of the Wyatt Six? Now, again, hear me out here. Again, this is fantasy booking at its best here, but the idea of the supernatural side that we were starting to see with this group under Vincent Mann's booking earlier in the year, Damien Priest almost being like the werewolf, if you want. We know Finn Balor has been like the demon before as well, and I just think this idea, and I go to think of the rivalry with Edge. What if we have like a higher power? What if Edge was the one that started this group? We never really got the reason of. We kind of get reasoning, but I don't think it was sufficient enough of a reason. It's kind of like, well, we've been taught all the tricks we can be taught, and now the only person holding us back is you. Well, what if someone else was directing that? What if it was Bray Wyatt directing them, and they've actually managed to convert Dominic Mysterio to be in this as well? Add Bo Dallas to the group, and you've got your six. I just think it'd be an interesting proposition as a storyline. I mean, Edge versus Wyatt could even be your WrestleMania match. I mean, that would be quite fascinating. Has Edge killed the world? Not necessarily, but you could say if he was the hand that made this group to begin with, that could be fascinating. That would be something I would be interested in seeing. So, as much as I feel myself that's very unlikely to happen, it's a storyline I think could be a lot of fun to see play out. I'll give you one more, and then I'll go back to the chat because we've got some chat coming in. Dexter Loomis, of course, Loomis right now has been on Monday Night Raw. Of course, he was kind of breaking into. Target has been The Miz, and of course he's just been putting The Miz to sleep for the longest time, and it's not really gone anywhere. Let's be honest with that storyline, and I think a lot of people are crying for it to come to a conclusion. Dexter doesn't speak either, so to have himself in this group would be nice because he has a group around him to be his mouthpiece. He can also be just directed to go and do the actions that are needed. Bray Wyatt does have history with The Miz. Not that I think The Miz would be someone that's killed the world for Bray Wyatt or really been a target, but of course Bray Wyatt did target the Miz's family, just like Dexter Loomis. I do believe Loomis will remain as a babyface. I don't see him a part of this group going forward, but certainly the guy is creepy. The guy would fit the group, and I can see some advantages of why people would want him there. So that's certainly why he would be one name that I would put forth. I'm going to go back to the chat for the meantime because we've got quite a few comments that have come in. We've got this one that's come here. Tina saying, "I don't know that Pig Eyes looks like a white Gacy. Gacy could be the one that's under the Husky Harris one. We don't know. I mean, the thing is, a Gacy is that kind of competitor. I think would." How can I put this in the right way? But he sort of almost defines how an early Bray Wyatt was. Obviously, the start of the Eater of Worlds. If you really want to go that far back, the Husky Harris character is where Bray Wyatt began. And if Bray Wyatt sees himself in Joe Gacy, maybe the Husky's character would be the one that would fit him. So that's why I could see that comparison that you've made there. But Kaxo says, I hope not. If not, he would just bring up Joe Gacy. Well, fingers crossed he does bring Gacy and not the grizzled young vets. Richard Rose says the White Six are Grayson Waller, Bo Dallas, Liv Morgan, Kane, and Dakota Kai. Kane, can you imagine giving up Mare to be in this spot? Certainly would be interesting at this point. The legend that could pass off the wisdom of how to torture others. Maybe electrocute Shane McMahon's testicles again. Never know. Dakota Kai as well to actually leave the group behind that she's with now in Damage Control. I think there would definitely be in Damage Control, or certainly no longer in control, but definitely in some form of damage. But Tina says, Richard the Mayor, let's do it. We've got Dodgekovich has been rumored for a gimmick change, so it could be. Well, he's one of the ones that I've mentioned, so let's talk about him, shall we? And what I think is fascinating as well, look at that facial hair. Is he getting himself primed and ready to be in the White Six? The guy, like we said, mentioned earlier on, he's been a part of Retribution. He's used to being in these sort of style of gimmicks previously under T-Bar, so I think he would be a good fit. I think, though, the Feast Your Eyes Dodgekovich would be perfect just naturally for this group anyway. He's great in ring. I think he's underutilized heavily in WWE. He's someone that I personally would love to see in the role. But again, I'm not so sure, but he's been in the catering club for a long, long time now. If you want to find a way to get him back on TV, certainly there's 6 spots available here, or 5 with Bray Wyatt. Surely this guy could be one of them. Let's talk about Karrion Kross and Scarlett, shall we? Because again, kind of was said earlier in this video, but at the same time, I feel we sort of need to address it. Karrion Kross and Bray Wyatt in the same group, and Karrion being the White Rabbit all along. There were rumors. Tom Conner on this video earlier on did suggest the idea in one of his videos about Karrion Kross having a faction. Why not just being in a faction? Why not just being in this faction? What if Scarlett was Abigail? I mean, stranger things have happened. We've had Alexa Bliss in there, so I guess there's another blonde female in that role. But it could be interesting how it was kind of play out if that was going to be the way. But for me, again, as what I said with Braun Strowman earlier on, one of a guy that's rising up the card. Scarlett is there. They have their own acts going on. They came back already before Bray Wyatt, so I don't see the need to do this. The only way I can see it connecting with that Wyatt 6 is what I did as a fantasy booking idea for Dexter Lumis when he returned. And Lumis would fit in with it, with Lumis, Cross, Strowman, all kind of come back without necessary direction at the time. But perhaps maybe they wanted revenge on WWE. Maybe they want to do it on Bray Wyatt's behalf, and that's why they want to get Who Killed the World. But again, at the same time, it's hard to see if that would be the case and point at this stage. And for me, I think I would prefer some of the other names on this list, but I will give you my ultimate list at the end. But I mentioned Sister Abigail, and it's been mentioned a few times already in this video. Liv Morgan. I think Liv Morgan, certainly the character change at this point in her career now is probably needed. The fact that she seemed a bit psychotic when she was backstage after losing the SmackDown Women's Championship feels that we're going to begin for something a bit different. And I think Liv Morgan, she's into the horror stuff. She's into a Chucky. She's into all those sort of scary movies and that. This could be right up her avenue. And I know, again, it's another blonde girl into the idea of playing this Abigail thing. Would it be the same heat and hate that Alexa Bliss could get and was getting with her role under this? I'm not so sure. The flip side of what people are telling me, though, is it gives Liv Morgan purpose and direction. And that I agree with. I think Liv Morgan with purpose and direction is needed in WWE because I don't want to see her fall to the bottom of the card. I think that potentially with this direction she has going forward, it could be interesting television. And if it does lead to the White 6, well, she's going to still remain a major deal on WWE programming, and she will have people around her to protect her. And I do think as well, her promo work as well. Sometimes she's sort of slow in her way of delivery. I think actually in this style of environment with the potential gimmick change we're getting anyway, but even if it was part of the White 6, I think actually could fit her really, really well. I think her promos will come off a lot better maybe than what they are doing currently. I've mentioned Alexa Bliss. So she's been there before with Bray Wyatt. Would she be there again? I think she'd be keen on the idea. I think certainly she enjoyed being a part of the work with Bray Wyatt previously. They both have huge respect for one another. But I think Alexa Bliss is going to be a target. I don't see Bliss being back a part of the White 6 personally. That's just my opinion on that. But we mentioned some ladies there. We mentioned Joe Gacy as well earlier on. Isla Dawn is someone that's been heavily linked to be with the person under the red hood. Could she just be with Joe Gacy in the White 6? Something I don't think would be outside of the box, but something I would quite like to see. But there's not much more I can give on it, really. I just think she's kind of had that sort of darker gimmick in NXT UK. Again, I think it'd be a good fit, but I think it's an outside of the box idea. The one I'd love for Sister Abigail, or Sister Abby at this point, whoever could play Abby, for me, this would be the perfect one. And it's perfectly done, I think, with the render I've managed to put on this graphic as well. That's right, it's Nikki Cross. Bring back Nikki Cross. Take away Nikki ASH. Bring back the crazy Nikki, the psychotic. If she's a part of this group, she fits it perfectly. For me, she is the female that I think would be the perfect one for that Abby role. And why I like the idea of her being a part of that as well, she has history with Alexa Bliss. If revenge is going to be taken on Bliss for the way that sort of killed the world for Bray Wyatt, the Fiend character before, Nikki Cross was with Alexa Bliss as a tag team when Bliss joined the Fiend. So I like the idea that revenge and roles reverse could be done here. It's almost long-term storytelling being done in and amongst this. So for me, I think this again ticks a lot of the boxes. Now, I've done almost every name on my list here that I've done graphics for. There's one I want to talk about that I've not done a graphic for that I've thought about since, but this is a real outside the box one, but just one I'd love to see. It is Vincent from Impact Wrestling, or Impact Wrestling No More. He was a part of Honor. And anyone that's familiar with his work will know that this guy is out there. He's a bit dark with his thinking. Like I said, he's into his horror, he's into that style. He would fit perfectly into the White Six. I just don't think WWE are going to sign him. But for me, I wanted to put his name as a name out there because personally, for me, he's a great promo. He does say man a lot. He says, "Do you dig what I'm saying?" a lot. But at the same time, I just think that sort of feel like Gacy, it would just have a good narrative, a good feel in a part of this White faction. So for me, I'm quite into the idea of it. So that's just me. The last name that I'm going to mention, we put Nikki Cross up there a minute ago, for me would be Killian Dane, Damo. To see him back in WWE, the guy never got a fair crack for me as part of Sanity. So for me, I would like to see him brought back in some fashion. And I think he'd be quite a good fit to be a part of the group again, especially if Nikki Cross was a part of it also. But that's my last take on it. But let's go into the chat. That's all the names I'm going to speculate. Now, if you've got some names to speculate for me, then we can talk about those as well. So that's for me, what I think could be quite fun here. And we've got one that's come straight in there from KXI for the out there members. Maybe like Elias or Baron Corbin. I like the suggestions of these because Corbin, Kentucky, he was featured in part of the White Rabbit teasers that were being linked up to this. So I think that's a really cool shout. I still hope that we get Corbin, aka the new form of JBL going forward. For me, that would be my preference. I think Corbin would play that gimmick to perfection. I think we could actually then get Corbin to the next level. But of course, I didn't see a werewolf at the time when we got the return of Bray Wyatt on there, but we did see that sort of scary-looking werewolf on one of the White Rabbit video packages. If it can come back in that format, it will be something very different, but it could be something very fun. Why be the lone wolf when you can be a wolf in amongst the White Six? Elias, I like it. Who wants to walk with the White Six? I mean, it could be fun and give him something to do. I mean, Elias could have all his alter egos, really, to be fair, at this point, being a part of the White Six, and give them all something to do. Elrod, Ezekiel, everybody. But yeah, for me, I hope that Elias comes back eventually as Elias, but that's just me again. Tinner's Time says Corbin gotta be the Mercenary or Mercy at this point. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he did have the shirts as well. That's a very good shout, Tina, you make there. Didn't think of that there. The Happy Corbin with the shirt. There's something that could be in that actually. Now you get in my mind thinking there. That could actually be something in that. Stuart Ridley says, if the Dyad went back to the GYV, could we get the return of Shoes Off if you hate Gibson chant lol? I really hope so. I really hope so. In fact, I did it in one of our live streams recently. I want to see them come back so much, but fingers crossed. And I think that Gibson's great on the mic. And, you know, I mean, Drake has done his role quite well as well, but Gibson's another level. And I think he could get everyone to where they're doing that on a Raw or SmackDown every week. I think they're that talented on the mic. KXI says Dexter needs something, so I wouldn't mind them being in it, but I think it's too late. People probably see him as goofy, then creepy, and I wouldn't be mad if he joined him. Well, that's the thing. If he was then to be taken more seriously, sort of darker, sinister style Dexter Lumis, rather than someone that's doing the comedy spots chasing Dexter Lumis, it would come across less goofy. At the same time, though, it is getting crowd reactions. And as our boy Tom Collier, who's got his next comment here. Tom, gimmick infringement coming up here. He has speculated the idea of the way. Hope you don't mind me doing that, Tom, there. But he says, if I can blind speculate who killed the world, who, all I hear is Kofi now. Could you imagine if the New Day were a part of that? I think that's a fun idea. It's never going to happen, is it? But let's be fair. Yeah, I like what you've done there, though. I think it's a lot of fun. Randy Sam says, sup SCW, sup Randy, hope you're doing very, very well. He comes in with Killian Dane and Nikki Cross as well. Baron Corbin as Mercy and Abby, and we can have Liv or Blair Davenport. Fiend, maybe Bo, Mustafa Ali as Ramblin. There's a lot of names in amongst there, Randy, and I love it the fact you just throwing all the speculation at me. Mustafa Ali, of course, was the name mentioned earlier in the stream as well. So let's talk about him. I didn't make a graphic for him. He came back, didn't he? And he said he wanted his opportunity. Not waiting anymore. Had a great match with Bobby Lashley. Was it last week or the week before? Time just going too quick for me. I'm losing track of time at the minute. But let's say anyway that it was a great match. I like what they did with it. It's a shame the crowd didn't buy into it as much. You could say that maybe Mustafa Ali would go back and could still turn, but I feel that he's been off TV for a long time. The fact he's back on TV and tried this, I hope they continue with it and give him something more to do, because I think Mustafa Ali would fit better with the current gimmick he's trying to do, and they could make it work because they've done it with other companies and other times in WWE where you want to get behind that underdog. And I think Mustafa Ali definitely wouldn't quit, wouldn't show those signs. So I hope he gets his time. But as for either one you've mentioned on there, we've spoke about, but Blair Davenport, we haven't. She certainly would have the look that would fit the group pretty well. I'm not too familiar with her mic work, but I've seen a few of her matches with NXT UK, and of course as well with the recent Worlds Collide, also with AEW as well. She's a heck of a talent. So in ring wise, for sure, she definitely would add something to the group. But again, I still think I would prefer Nikki Cross if it was for me, or Nikki ASH. Tom says, I did not see the way coming there. Neither did I, but he did come. It was there. And also, Kexler says, I remember they did a story with Bray, like brainwashing Xavier Woods. That's true. That's very true. God, that's a throwback. I tell you what, everyone's still saying to me yesterday, he said he doesn't know how I remember some of the stuff that I do from old stuff. But it's like the stuff I know is the stuff I know. But then there's loads of stuff that I tend to forget as well. This I did forget. And do you know what? Bray would have the master of the mind control, and perhaps maybe that's the magic and the genius that's going to be a part of this, because maybe we might see people in this group we don't expect, and maybe Bray is the one that's influencing people. I mean, we've had people in the White family before we wouldn't suspect. Daniel Bryan has been a part of it before. Of course, he did break away. Randy Orton was a part of it before, but they've gone on to have very heated rivalries ever since then, so I don't expect them to come back. But hey, if we did get a Who and a Kofi and an Xavier Woods in there, yeah, well, I'll be cheering along. I'd certainly be open-minded to the idea, put it that way. Jacoby Peter, or Jacoby, I don't know if I've got that right, apologies, but it says, did you hear that Mike and Matt Taven and Maria are free agents? Also, Vincent, maybe they'll be bound. I wouldn't mind Vincent in the Bray 6. I wouldn't mind Vincent in the Bray 6, but yes, they have done their fulfillments of their contract for Impact Wrestling. Whether they're going to do pay per appearance, because I know that particularly Taven, Bennett, and Maria were advertised in the Hard to Kill video package that's going to be in January. So I don't know if they're sticking around or not. But yeah, according to the dirt sheets that I've seen, can't remember the one off the top of my head that's the one where it broke from, but certainly they have suggested that these guys are free agents at this point. But let's wait and see what's going to happen. Bobby gets assistance from the White Rabbit confirmed. Is that tonight against Seth Rollins? We'll have to wait and see. If there's a White Rabbit that comes into the arena, that would be... Well, that'd be interesting if it does go that way. We did see it at Extreme Rules, but certainly not interfering in any matches. Just having over here's White 6. We'd have Bray, Dodgekovich, highly unlikely, Dolph Ziggler, Bo Dallas, and Liv Morgan. Well, you mentioned Dolph Ziggler, and I believe Tom mentioned this on his live stream earlier. That Dolph Ziggler is one of a few superstars that have blacked out their Twitter. Seth Rollins being another one, Liv Morgan also. I mean, if they were to do it, I suppose it would be out there. I mean, it would be a good sign as well that they're going to do it. But for me, I don't feel Dolph Ziggler is a natural fit for this for me. That's just my personal opinion. That's why I wouldn't personally have him in there. But again, it gives him something to do. He's not really doing a lot. Underground Temple in the house, it says, even all, what are we discussing? We are discussing the White 6. I've given all the options out there already, Temple, so you'd have to rewind if you want to see those. But give us who you think will be in the White 6, and I'll be revealing mine in the next few minutes or so before we wrap up things today. Chris Williams as well. We've got with the help of Dakota Kai too, Richard. I think Richard's really into the idea of Dakota Kai leaving Damage Control. Chris Williams, though, in-house as well, says, how do you feel about the stable comeback in WWE? Do you hear the news about the Good Brothers coming back also? There was a report from PW Insider on the Good Brothers. It seems to have made quite a bit of the rounds today. If they are coming back, and I can only speculate if they do come back, I can see them being aligned with AJ Styles, and that's to go against the Judgment Day on the Raw side. I think that AJ is an interesting narrative, what they're going to do with that storyline with Judgment Day going forward. If the Good Brothers come back in, then that could be the case. And there could even be an argument then of AJ saying, look, you really want to be with the band, come back to be with the real club. Maybe that could be another interesting line of the story. We'll have to wait and see how it will play out. But I have seen the speculation. Don't know if it's true or not. We'll have to wait and see how it will go. Chris going on to say, Dolph in a new character is maybe something he is needed, but he doesn't think he fits. Though a character change, maybe not the worst thing. Like we said there, Bray is the master here of mind manipulation, so we have to wait and see who it will be. Well, I'm out of comments, so I think then this could be a good chance for me to give my Wyatt 6. So I suppose the best way to do this, I could say them, or I could literally just go through them. I mean, we know we've got Bray Wyatt in there. Yes, I would have Bo Dallas. I think having the family in there makes a lot of sense there. I think having that younger brother aspect as well, like I said, I think he'll be a good fit for this group. And obviously, I just want to see him have a meaningful, serious role. Secondly, I would bring back Eric Rowan. I know this may be seen out the box, outside the box for some, but I just think Eric Rowan, for me, he's got a great look for the group. Don't bring the spider back with him. I wouldn't do that, but I certainly think that he would be one that I just would like to have a part of it. I think that, like you say, the imagery when you see him in the Firefly Funhouse or going to do Bray's dirty work, he's a big dude. He's a scary dude as well. So I think that definitely you can make that work for me. I think there'll be a fun and compelling idea. No surprise to any. Nikki Cross, I think, for me as Abby, my goodness, you just got to look at the render there. She just fits it perfectly, doesn't she? I think she'd be awesome in the role for me. So she takes the next spot for me. Following that would be Joe Gacy. For me, Joe Gacy, like I said, he'd be a great mouthpiece for the group as well, particularly if Bray Wyatt isn't doing the talking. I think Gacy could just be that creepy guy on the side that I'd like to see be a part of it. And the last but not least, who I'm going to go for it, they've all mentioned it in this video already. Yes, T-Bar Dodgekovich. You're not growing that facial hair for no reason. Let's be honest here. There's definitely a reason he's growing that. I think he'd just be a great fit. Again, a big dude, scary looking dude. Could even be a place of Rowan if they wanted to do that and have someone else in the group. But perhaps maybe them together could even go for the tag team titles. Who knows? So for me, that'd be a group that I would throw together at this particular stage, just from pretty much the hearsay, the gossip, and just what I think would be good to just make use of superstars as well. Yes, we're bringing in one or two as well from outside of other places. One in Eric Rowan from outside the WWE, including Bo Dallas. We're bringing Joe Gacy from NXT, but we're giving them purpose, we're giving them meaning, and that's a group that right now I'd put together. Let's see what our last few comments have got, and then we'll wrap up the stream. We've got KXI. I've got the wrong comment up. We've got Underground with his six here. Bo, Eric Redbeard, Strowman, Loomis, Cross, and Scarlett, with Wyatt being the leader. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, even though I said why I wouldn't have a couple of those in there, that's a strong looking group. We wouldn't argue with that there. If that is a group there to be reckoned with, I don't think many people would be messing with that group. My only hiccup with that group is the fact that we have potentially 3 main event talents in and amongst that one group, and I do feel that eventually too many cooks in the kitchen, that would cause dissension eventually. But at the same time, though, like I say, strength in numbers, that's almost NWO style strength there. That's a lot of strength. We've got here Chris Williams saying, if we do get the OC, of course, the original club against Judgment Day, which female joins the OC in your opinion? Who would you like to see? It's a great question, that one. Who would be a good fit? Obviously, AJ was teaming with Liv earlier this year, but she's gone off the SmackDown, so it seems a bit unlikely that we're going to get that at this stage. So I'm trying to think of the Raw roster. Who's not being utilized? Unfortunately, the only name that comes screaming to me straight away is Dana Brooke. Maybe a Doudrop, maybe bring back Piper Niven, I'm not sure. But I like the idea of the OC, though, actually having the original history of that group. So, I mean, I'd like to have someone that would have connection to them from previous. So at the moment, I guess I'm throwing random names, which are, for me, probably isn't a good enough answer. I have to be honest with it. Jeff Sammy says Bo Dallas is a good one. I'd like to think he's a good one. So thank you, Jeff, on that one. He says Eric Rowan going after last year would be different. Both his brawler, wouldn't mind SCW. I think there would be a good inclusion if Rowan was to be there. Russell Red saying here that very good pick, but if you saw in the promo there was a female with both titles, what if it's a repackaged Nikki Cross? Also, Doudrop with a name change. Well, there's no reason it has to be one female in the group. There could be one or more than one female. Just at the moment, looking at the way that we see the puppets, that's the suggestion that I feel here. But Nikki Cross obviously was a former Raw Women's Champion and a former Women's Tag Team Champion. So she has had 2 championship reigns in WWE. So I think it could fit depending on what championship was behind her. If it's a former SmackDown Women's Champion, surely it's not Charlotte Flair. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see who it would be. But Doudrop with a new name change. I mean, again, for me, it's screaming for a gimmick change. I know that Doudrop is a particular favorite for Seth Rollins when it comes to that entrance music, but for me, I much prefer this Piper Niven. Underground Temple says, oh, I like this. The White Six of Bo, Rowan, Strowman, Lewis, Cross, and Scarlett against Judgment Day of Balor, Priest, Ripley, Dodgekovich, Gallows, and Anderson. Goodness, that group has got a lot bigger, hasn't it, with Judgment Day? And do you know what? NXT Steve did suggest to me off air the idea of Gallows and Anderson actually being with Judgment Day over AJ Styles, making them even stronger. It just makes you think, goodness, that would be actually war games in itself. There, to be fair, with that lot there with your lineup. But at the same time, I'd feel on Edge's side with AJ Styles and Rey Mysterio, goodness, they would be heavily outnumbered. So I do think Gallows and Anderson more likely will team up with Styles. Russell Red says, last one, how do you feel about Sarah Logan with the Viking Raiders? Also, what will you do with Sonya Deville? Would you put with Toxic or Damage Control? Loving both of these questions, particularly the Sonya Deville one. Sarah Logan, she was meant to be a part of the video package for the Viking Raiders last week, if I'm not mistaken, on SmackDown. If she is coming in the manager role for the Viking Raiders, cool. I think that definitely adds something more to the Viking Raiders, gives her something to do. Natural fit as well with the real life partnership with her and Eric, of course. And yeah, I'm quite open minded to it. There's not much more I can say to it at the moment, rather than just think. I think it's a natural fit and it's quite cool. With Sonya Deville, what would I do? I mean, she deserves to be doing something at this point. I think this is what I think long term. I'd love to see in War Games with Damage Control, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Toxic Attraction will be eventually called up to the main roster. Amongst that, but what I would have is eventually I would have Gigi and JC turn on Mandy, and Mandy then reunites with Sonya Deville. We've got another tag team going for the women's tag team championships along with the Toxic Attraction, because there's been talk about Gigi and JC being caught up. I've not seen it with Mandy recently. I'm assuming they're all caught up as a trio. If not, I mean, it could be even a case of Mandy just goes and joins Sonya Deville with like, girls, you left me behind. Yes, she was running off in NXT, being the NXT Women's Champion, but she lost her backup, so that can be the case with that. But I mean, we could even make an argument just before we close things off. I think Gigi Dolan could even be a really good fit for it. But Toxic Attraction for me is a group that works right now, so I just wouldn't break that up. But that's it then, pretty much. That's the group I would pick at this particular moment. For anyone that's watching on delay, please let me know who you would pick for this. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button, share with a friend, and subscribe as well. Jeff Samuel, the last comment then I will take. It says, I know I do like Hit Row. Maybe someone that's been on the stream with me said they don't. I think it was Jonesy said he wasn't a big fan of Hit Row. But if Hit Row, feud with Legado del Fantasma Zinnia de Vega, who will be the fourth member in Hit Row? Good question. I mean, Hit Row have been teaming up with the Street Profits a lot recently, so maybe Angelo Dawkins could fill the void while Montez Ford is out injured currently, because they're doing the show swapping anyway. But yeah, for me personally, that's what I picked. But I don't mind Hit Row. I think that they just are more on the jobber side. They're just not the tag team material, if you know what I mean, tag team championship material. A good review. Thank you very much, Randy Sam. And also, we've got here Underground Temple saying Damage Control to feud with a female faction. I just came up with Nikki Cross, Piper Niven, and Kaylee Ray. I like the sound of that faction, and that's what's going on in the Temple, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure to subscribe to Underground Temple Plays. But of course, if you've enjoyed this video, then subscribe to SCW as well. Hit that button and also hit the notifications bell. You know, each and every time a video is released. If you've not seen the review for Extreme Rules, myself and Silk, that's available for you right now on the channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, as I say. With SCW, word of mouth goes a long way for the channel. Enjoy Monday Night Raw. It's starting very, very shortly. I'm off to go and chill. That's what I'm going to do right now. As I say, Randy Sam says, Raw tonight, let's get ready. And oh, it's over. Absolutely. It's a short one tonight. It's been a short one, but we've had a fun time anyway. Thank you very much, KXI. Thank you, Stuart, as well. Thank you, Randy. All very kind things coming in here. I really appreciate you all. And Underground saying that the female version of the Fight Factory sounds really cool. Underground sounds really cool indeed. Make sure to subscribe, everybody. We'll see you next time here on SCW.